I raised her for 22 years. I paid for absolutely everything: her college degree, her car, her apartment, and even the security deposit for the venue where she was going to celebrate her wedding. Then, she looked me in the eye and told me her wedding had been yesterday, only for special people. A week later, she called me screaming because her rent hadn't been paid. I responded, "I didn't tell you. My name is David Miller. I am 53 years old, and I have spent the last 2 decades being the father of a girl who didn't share my blood, but who was mine in every way that mattered. Or so I thought. I own a chain of laundromats and dry cleaners with 4 locations scattered across the Chicago metropolitan area. It's nothing extraordinary, but it's honest work that allowed me to give my daughter, Lucy, a good life, enough to raise her, pay for her university tuition, and help her start her path in the world." The moment everything changed was a Tuesday morning. I stopped by her condo in Wicker Park to drop off some things she had forgotten at my house during her last visit. They were materials for the wedding planning, seating charts, contracts with the caterers, and fabric swatches. She had been using my dining room table as a command center for months. I rang the doorbell. Lucy opened it with her smartphone in hand, still in her pajamas, even though it was nearly 11 a.m. Behind her, I could see moving boxes. It seemed strange. She hadn't mentioned anything about moving. "Hey, Dad," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Thanks for bringing this." I handed her the box. "You're welcome, honey. Hey, I was looking at the calendar this morning and realized you hadn't given me the final date for the wedding yet. I want to make sure I don't book anything for that weekend." She looked at her phone, then back at me. Something crossed her face. It wasn't exactly guilt. It was more like I was a nuisance. "Oh," she said, her tone far too casual. "That was yesterday. It was just for special people." I stood there, arms still outstretched in the air, holding the empty space where the box had been. My muscles froze. At first, the words didn't make sense. My brain tried to rearrange them so they would hurt less. "Yesterday?" I repeated slowly. Lucy nodded, already turning back toward the interior of her condo. "Yeah, something very small. Just the courthouse and then a dinner. You know how it goes." But I didn't know how it went. I didn't know anything anymore. "Special people," I said, testing the words in my mouth as if they were broken glass. She shrugged with disdain. "It was mostly Aaron's family and Mom. We didn't want to make a spectacle." By Mom, she meant Ellen, the woman who abandoned her when she was 6 years old. The woman who missed every birthday, every school play, and every parent-teacher conference for 15 years. That Mom received an invitation. I didn't want to scream. I wanted to demand an explanation. I wanted to ask her how she could erase me from her life so absolutely. But her posture, the way she was already turning her back on me, and her impatience told me she had already made her decision. Anything I said would just be white noise to her. So I did something I had never done. I said nothing. "I see," I managed to articulate in a flat voice. Lucy looked at me for a second, perhaps noticing something strange in those 2 words, but her phone buzzed, and any moment we might have had evaporated. "I have to take this," she said, backing into the apartment. "Thanks again for the stuff, Dad." The door closed without a slam. It just clicked shut, as if I were an Amazon delivery driver who had just completed a task. I walked to my work van, climbed in, and sat there for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't hit the steering wheel. I just stared at the dashboard and felt something fundamental break inside me. 22 years of being a father, and I didn't even know my daughter had gotten married. That night, I sat in my home office and opened my laptop. I searched for the folder where I kept all of Lucy's financial records. The rent payments, the university tuition fees, the car insurance, and the deposit for the wedding reception hall that I paid last month. $5,000 for a wedding I wasn't invited to. I stared at the numbers for a long time. Then, I opened a new document and titled it, Account Closure Plan. If I wasn't special enough to witness her wedding, perhaps I wasn't special enough to continue funding her life. It was time to discover what it truly meant to be special to Lucy, and time for her to learn what it feels like to fend for herself. The next morning, I didn't call Lucy, nor did I send her any texts. For the first time in 22 years, I let the silence fill the space between us. She didn't notice, or maybe she did, but she didn't care. My phone didn't ring. I went to work as always. I checked on my 4 laundromats, reviewed the bookkeeping, and took calls from suppliers. But between tasks, I couldn't stop looking at that spreadsheet. The numbers were overwhelming when you saw them all together. The rent for her apartment in the city, $1,800 a month. I had been paying it for 3 years. The car payment, $550 monthly. The vehicle was in my name. The private health insurance through my company, $400 a month. Her student loans, I paid off the total balance last year, $45,000, thinking I was helping her start her life debt-free. Then there were the smaller things, the cell phone bill, Netflix, the premium subscription to that design software she needed for work, $50 a month, the gym membership, and even her meal kit delivery subscription. I had put everything on autopay years ago when it made me feel good to support her, when I thought I was building a bond. Turns out, I was just financing someone's life while she built her future around people who mattered more. My business partner, Carl, noticed I was distracted. We were in the office at the main location reviewing quarterly projections. "You okay, David?" he asked, putting down his coffee. "You've been staring at that screen for 10 minutes. Carl was a good man. He had been working with me for 15 years. He knew Lucy and had seen her grow up. "Lucy got married," I said, without emotion. His face lit up. "Man, congratulations. When's the reception? Was it yesterday or the day before?" I wasn't there. I wasn't invited. His smile vanished. "What?" he asked, incredulous. "She told me it was only for special people," I added. He looked at me, processing the information. "David, you raised that girl. You're the only father she's ever known. Apparently, I'm not special enough." I turned the laptop toward him. "I've been paying every cent of her life. Everything. And I just found out that to her, I'm worth less than a mother who abandoned her 20 years ago." Carl looked at the spreadsheet with a clenched jaw. "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I'm going to stop everything today." He raised his eyebrows. "That's a very strong move, David." "She made the first move," I said calmly. "I'm just responding to the reality she created. If I'm not family enough for her wedding, I'm not family enough to subsidize her lifestyle." Carl nodded slowly. "I can't blame you. But be prepared. As soon as the money stops flowing, she's going to notice very fast." "I'm counting on it," I stated. That afternoon, I started the process. First, I called my accountant and removed Lucy from the company health insurance plan, effective immediately. Then I logged into my online banking and canceled the rent transfer scheduled for next week. I stopped the auto draft for the car payment and took her off the family phone plan. One by one, I cut every financial cord that bound us. My finger hesitated over the last button, canceling her access to the credit card linked to my account that I gave her for emergencies. It had about $150 charged to it at that moment. I clicked. Done. I leaned back in my chair, feeling neither satisfaction nor anger, just a cold, mechanical certainty that I was doing the right thing. Lucy wanted to define who was special. Perfect. Now she would learn what happens when you aren't. A week passed since the wedding I wasn't invited to. On Sunday morning, Lucy and Aaron organized a celebratory brunch. I found out because Aaron's aunt, a woman named Patricia, tagged me by mistake in an Instagram photo before quickly deleting the tag. But the damage was done. The restaurant was called the Urban Garden, one of those trendy spots with organic food, exposed brick, and overpriced mimosas. In the photo, Lucy presided over a long table. Aaron was by her side, both beaming. There were about 20 people around them. His family, friends I didn't recognize, and there, 3 seats down, was Ellen, my ex-wife. She had impeccable hair, a fresh manicure, and a dress that looked extremely expensive, playing the role of mother of the bride to perfection. That motherhood ended when Lucy was 6 because, in her own words in the divorce papers, being a mother wasn't her vocation. I zoomed in on another photo someone had uploaded. Aaron was standing with his glass raised, making a toast. The caption read, "To the family that always believed in us." I believed in Lucy when she wanted to drop out of college in her sophomore year. I believed in her when she changed majors 3 times. I believed in her when she took that low-paying marketing job instead of the corporate position I had secured an interview for. And Ellen? Ellen sent a birthday card maybe once every 3 years, but she was invited to the brunch. She sat at that table enjoying the celebration and pretending she had been there the whole time. I put down my phone and went to my home office. I pulled a safety deposit box out of the closet where I keep important documents. Inside were 22 years of memories. Report cards, dance recital programs, adoption papers, and photos of Lucy at every age. In most of them, she was with me teaching her to ride a bike, at her high school graduation, moving her into her first apartment. There was a photo at the bottom. Lucy at 8 years old, with a gap-toothed smile, holding a construction paper card she had made herself. To the world's best dad, written in crayon with hearts everywhere. I stared at it for a long while. Then, I put everything back in the box and closed it. I filed it away as if it were evidence in a case that had already been sentenced. My phone buzzed. A text from Carl. Saw the brunch photos. "You okay?" I replied, "Fine." Finishing closing some things out. What I was closing was the final piece, the one I had kept, waiting for Lucy to contact me to apologize or acknowledge what she had done. She didn't. I opened my laptop and logged into the portal for the property management company that handled Lucy's apartment. I had signed as a guarantor on her lease 2 years ago because she didn't have enough credit history. Technically, I was legally responsible for her rent. I drafted an email to the property manager informing them that I was withdrawing my guarantee, effective immediately. Legal formality done. Now they would have to ask Aaron to co-sign, or Lucy would have to find another place. Then I opened the files for the commercial spaces I lease for my laundromats. 3 of them were managed through Aaron's firm, Horizon Realty. Aaron himself had handled 2 of those transactions. I called the senior agent I worked with there, a woman named Linda. "David! So good to hear from you. How can I help?" she said. "Look, Linda, I'm considering consolidating my properties. I might move some locations. I wanted to know how much notice I need to give to not renew the leases." There was a pause. "Well, for 2 of them, you have 90 days. The 3rd one is month to month," she replied. "Are you thinking of moving?" "Just exploring options." "Thanks," I answered. I had no intention of moving, but Aaron didn't know that. And when those contracts came up for renewal in 3 months, I would make my decision based on how Lucy handled the next few weeks. Family that always believed in us. All right, let's see how much they believe when the foundation starts to shake. It took Lucy 5 days to notice. 5 days of absolute silence before my phone finally showed her name on the screen. I was at my main laundromat, refilling the change machines, when it vibrated in my pocket. I looked at it, let it ring twice more, and then answered. "David Miller." Speaking. "Dad?" Lucy's voice sounded stressed. "Hey, I've been trying to reach you." "Ah, yes." I continued feeding quarters into the machine. "I haven't checked for missed calls. Well, I sent you some texts." I hadn't replied to the texts. One was a meme about marriage. Another asked if I could recommend a good dry cleaner for Aaron's suits, as if nothing had happened. "What can I do for you, Lucy?" I asked with a professional, distant tone. "Okay. Look, something weird is happening. The rent payment bounced. The landlord sent me a really rude email about late fees, and I checked my account and the money just isn't there." "Did something happen with the transfer?" "Nothing happened with the transfer," I said calmly. "I just stopped making them." Silence on the other end. "What do you mean you stopped making them?" she asked. "Exactly that. I am no longer going to pay your rent." "But why, Dad? I don't understand. Did I do something?" The question was so absurd I almost laughed. Did I do something? As if excluding me from her wedding was a simple oversight. "Lucy," I said, keeping my voice steady, "you got married a week and a half ago. You didn't tell me. You didn't invite me. You said it was only for special people." I've thought a lot about that phrase, and I've decided that if I'm not special enough to be part of the important moments of your life, I'm not special enough to finance them either. "Oh my God." Her voice turned defensive. "Are you serious? Are you punishing me for the wedding thing?" "I'm not punishing you. I'm adjusting my financial commitments to reflect the relationship we actually have, not the one I thought we had." "This is insane!" she started shouting. "You're being so petty." "Petty," I repeated. Interesting choice of words. "Tell me, Lucy, how much is your rent?" I don't know, like 1,800? "And the car?" "Wrong. It's $550. "And your health insurance?" She hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe 200? "You don't know," I said quietly, "because you've never had to think about it. I've taken care of everything for so long that you don't even know how much your own life costs. That is going to change." "Dad, please." Her voice cracked a little, shifting tactics. Aaron and I are really tight right now. The wedding cost more than we planned, and he's waiting on a big commission that won't come until next month. We can't pay the rent and everything else right now. It's just a bad time. You guys will have to figure out a solution. Can't you cover it just this once? I'll pay you back. That phrase, I'll pay you back. She had said it 100 times over the years. She never followed through once. No, Lucy, I can't. You can't or you won't? She snapped. Both. I closed the change machine and locked it. You chose who your family was. Now I'm choosing mine. This is unbelievable. You're really going to do this over a wedding? This isn't about a wedding. My voice hardened. This is about 22 years of being your father and discovering it meant nothing. You erased me, Lucy. Don't be surprised if I stop showing up. I heard a stifled sob. Neither of us spoke. Then she said in an icy voice, Fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. We don't need you. Glad to hear it, I replied. Then this shouldn't be a problem. I hung up before she could reply. 10 days after cutting off the payments, Lucy called again. This time I was having dinner at a neighborhood diner, the kind with wooden booths and coffee that never stops getting refilled. I saw her name and almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Speak, Lucy. I said her name without affection. Dad. Her voice was tight, on the edge. The rent and the university fees are past due. You forgot to make the transfer. I had been waiting for this moment. Didn't I tell you? I asked calmly, taking a sip of coffee. I told you I was taking a step back. We already had this conversation. I'm not covering your expenses anymore. But I thought you were just mad. I thought you would cool off. Yeah, cool off. I set the cup down carefully. This isn't anger, Lucy. It's clarity. You made it very clear what place I occupy in your life. I am responding accordingly. Dad, please! Her voice oscillated between panic and rage. The landlord is threatening eviction. The university has blocked my registration. I can't even sign up for next semester's classes. Aaron's commission still hasn't come in. We are drowning. Sounds like a difficult situation, I said in a neutral tone. What are you going to do about it? What am I going to... She stopped to compose herself. Can you help us just this one time? We'll look for a solution for later, but right now we need... What? No, Lucy, I can't help you. You can't or you won't? She jumped in. Both. You have a husband. You have your mother. You have all those special people who were important enough to witness your wedding. Maybe one of them can help you. I heard her breathing heavily. This is crazy. Are you willing to let me lose my apartment and get kicked out of school over a wedding? I am not doing anything to you. My voice turned to steel. The consequences you are facing are the natural result of your own decisions. You chose to exclude me. You chose to pretend I didn't matter. Now you are choosing to face life without my financial support. These are your choices, not mine. I can't believe you're so cold. And I couldn't believe you got married without telling me. I guess we're both learning new things about each other. She stayed quiet for a moment. Then, with a low, bitter voice, she let out, Mom was right about you. She said you'd end up using money to control me. That hurt. Ellen was still poisoning the well after so many years. Your mother, I said slowly, hasn't contributed a single dollar to your life in 18 years. She has no idea what I've done for you or why. And if you believe her version of events over 2 decades where I have been there, then we have nothing left to talk about. Fine, Lucy said, her voice broken. Fine. We'll fix it without you. Don't worry. I won't, I concluded. I hung up. I sat there while my coffee grew cold and felt a definitive shift inside me. It wasn't regret or satisfaction, just a quiet sense of finality. The bridge was burning, and I was the one who had lit the match. Patricia, Aaron's aunt, wasn't the type of woman to overlook details. At her age, after 4 decades as a paralegal, observation was her superpower. So when she attended her nephew's brunch and noticed the omissions, the deflected questions, and the way Ellen strutted around telling stories of Lucy's childhood, her instincts activated. Something didn't add up. That night, she did what any good professional would do: investigate. She started with social media. Lucy's Facebook and Instagram were a goldmine. She found an album titled My Hero from 6 years ago. Photos of Lucy with a man Patricia hadn't seen at the brunch and had never heard of. David Miller. There he was at her graduation, bursting with pride, moving her into college, teaching her to drive. Dozens of photos spanning years. Always there, always present. Patricia kept scrolling. She found a post from 3 years ago. Couldn't have finished my degree without Dad's support. Eternally grateful for everything he's done for me. Dad, not David, Dad. Patricia opened another tab and searched for David's name. She found his business, Miller Cleaners, with 4 locations and a solid reputation. Then she found something else, a receipt posted in a community group thanking David for his generous donation to a scholarship fund. $15,000 donated in Lucy's name. She leaned back in her chair. The pieces fit. This man had raised Lucy, paid for her education, supported her life for years, and wasn't at the wedding or the brunch, nor was he mentioned a single time. Patricia picked up the phone and called her brother, Aaron's father. "Jerry," she said when he answered, "I need to ask you something about Aaron's wedding. Who exactly paid for all this?" "Well," Jerry hesitated, "Aaron and Lucy covered most of it. I think Lucy's mother helped with some costs." "Why? Did David Miller contribute anything?" "Who is that, Jerry?" Patricia said with a somber tone. "I just spent an hour going through Lucy's socials. David Miller raised that girl. He is her adoptive father. He paid for her college, her car, her life, and he even paid the security deposit for the wedding venue, $5,000. Jerry went silent. But Aaron said Lucy's father wasn't in her life. He said what? He said bad things, or Lucy lied to him. Either way, there is a man who gave 20 years of his life for that girl, and she has erased him completely. Aaron needs to know what kind of person he married. Are you sure? I have the proof in front of me. Photos, posts, thank you messages. It's all here, Jerry. That girl cut off the man who raised her to replace him with a woman who abandoned her as a child. And no one at that brunch had any idea. What do you want me to do? Tell Aaron the truth, Patricia said firmly, before he gets in any deeper. Because if Lucy can do this to the man who raised her, what is she capable of doing to your son? Aaron was sitting across from his father and his Aunt Patricia in his parents' living room. On the coffee table lay a folder with screenshots and photos of David Miller and Lucy over the years. This doesn't make sense, Aaron said, flipping through the pages. Lucy told me her dad left when she was little, that her mom raised her almost alone. Patricia leaned forward. Aaron, your wife lied to you. David Miller adopted Lucy when she was 2 years old. He raised her and paid for everything, her education, her car, her apartment. He even paid the $5,000 deposit for your wedding venue. Aaron turned pale. The venue deposit? But Lucy said her mom covered that. Ellen hasn't contributed a dime to Lucy's life in almost 20 years, Patricia said, showing him another screenshot. Look at this. A post from Lucy 3 years ago thanking David for paying off her student loans. $45,000, Aaron. That is the man you excluded from your wedding. Aaron stood up abruptly and started pacing. She said it would be something intimate, just immediate family. And that David wasn't immediate family. Patricia's voice was sharp. The man who raised her wasn't immediate family, but a woman who abandoned her was? Jerry, Aaron's father, spoke quietly. Son, you have to understand what this means. If Lucy can rewrite history this way, if she can erase the person who gave her everything, what else could she be hiding from you? Aaron stopped, running his hands through his hair. I have to talk to her. Before you do, Patricia said, standing up, you should know something else. David owns several commercial properties. 3 of them are managed by you through your firm. They are your biggest accounts, Aaron. And from what I understand, those leases expire soon. Aaron's heart sank. Are you saying he might cancel them? I'm saying, Patricia added carefully, that the man you and your wife scorned on the most important day of her life turns out to have significant influence on your career, and right now he has every reason in the world to take his business elsewhere. Aaron sat back down heavily. His wedding, his marriage, and his career suddenly felt like they were built on sand. What do I do? He whispered. Patricia put a hand on his shoulder. Find out who you really married, Aaron, and then decide if that's someone with whom you want to build a life. That night, Aaron came home and found Lucy at the kitchen table, with her laptop open, visibly stressed. There were bills everywhere, rent notices, bank statements, credit card debt. We need to talk, Aaron said flatly. Lucy looked up. Not now, Aaron. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to pay the rent. My father still hasn't made the transfer." "Don't call him that," Aaron interrupted. Lucy blinked. "What?" "David. Don't call him Dad after what you did to him." Her face changed, turning defensive. "What are you talking about?" Aaron pulled out his phone and showed her the photo Patricia had sent him. Lucy as a teenager with David at her graduation. "Who is this, Lucy?" She looked at the photo and looked away. "It's David. I already told you about him." "No, you didn't. You told me your father wasn't in your life. You told me your mother raised you, but David Miller adopted you when you were 2. He paid for your degree, your car, your condo. He paid $5,000 for our wedding venue, a wedding he wasn't invited to." Lucy stood up, the chair screeching against the floor. "Who told you all that?" "Does it matter? It's true, isn't it?" She crossed her arms. "It's complicated." "No, it isn't." Aaron raised his voice. "You lied to me. You told me you were independent, that you paid for your own school, but the whole time there was a man funding everything. And you erased him from your history, from our wedding." "I didn't erase him. We just drifted apart." "Lucy, there are photos of you from 2 years ago calling him the world's best dad. That isn't drifting apart. That is deliberate." She turned around, looking out the kitchen window. "You don't understand. My mom, my real mom, wanted to be at my wedding. It was important to her. And David was always so controlling with money, always making me feel like I owed him something." "Controlling?" Aaron's laugh was bitter. "Lucy, he paid for everything and apparently never asked for anything in return. That isn't being controlling. That is being a father, and you discounted him like he was nothing." Lucy turned with tears in her eyes. "So what? Now you're on his side?" "I'm trying to know who I married," Aaron said bitterly, "because the woman I thought I knew wouldn't be capable of doing that to David. I wonder what else you've hidden from me." "I haven't lied." "Enough." Aaron raised his hand. "Stop. I need time to think. I'm going to stay at my parents' house tonight." "Aaron, please. Do you have any idea what you've done?" he asked, his voice breaking. "David isn't just some random guy you can ignore. He is the most important client at my firm. 3 locations, Lucy, 3 of our most valuable accounts. And do you know what will happen when those leases expire in 2 months? He's going to pull them. Why would he do business with the company of the man who married his ungrateful daughter?" Lucy's face went white. "He wouldn't do that." "Why not? You kicked him out of your wedding. You told me he didn't matter. Well, congratulations. Now he's going to show you exactly how much he really matters." Aaron grabbed his keys from the counter. "I'll come by tomorrow for more things. Until then, figure out how you're going to pay the rent yourself, because I'm done carrying someone who thinks loyalty is optional." The door closed behind him, and Lucy was left alone in the kitchen, surrounded by unpaid bills and the ruins of the life she thought she was building. 3 weeks after Aaron left, Lucy received an envelope. It had no return address, but the name of the law firm embossed in the corner told her everything she needed to know. Inside were 2 documents. The first was a notification of a petition for annulment of marriage. Aaron was seeking to dissolve the marriage based on fraud in the inducement, alleging that she had concealed material information about her financial dependence and family relationships prior to the wedding. The second document was worse. It was a formal demand letter from David's lawyer. The wedding guests, who had given gifts, 14 of them, had been contacted by David's legal team. They had been informed of the true circumstances, that David had paid for Lucy's education, her housing, and the wedding deposit while being deliberately excluded from the ceremony. The letter detailed that several guests now felt their gifts were given under false pretenses. 7 of them demanded the return of their gifts or their cash value. The list totaled $2,000. Lucy's hands were shaking. She didn't have $4,000. She barely had $400. Her phone rang. It was her mother, Ellen. "Did you get a letter from a lawyer?" Ellen asked, her voice tense. "You too?" "They're threatening me with a defamation lawsuit if I keep making false statements about David. Apparently, someone documented everything I said about him being controlling and manipulative. They call it slander and libel." Lucy felt the walls closing in on her. "What do we do?" "We?" "There is no we, Lucy. I'm not going to let them sue me because you decided to burn bridges with your golden goose. You're on your own." The line went dead. Lucy sat in her empty apartment. Aaron had taken almost all his things and stared at the legal papers. Her university registration was suspended. Her landlord had started eviction proceedings. Her credit cards were maxed out, and now her own guests wanted their money back. She opened her laptop and searched for David's name on Facebook. His profile was now private, but his business page was still public. There, posted just yesterday, was a photo of him with a young woman in a cap and gown. The caption read, "Proud to support another brilliant student through the Miller Scholarship Fund. Congratulations, Sarah, on your nursing degree." The comments were full of praise. People thanked David for his generosity in supporting students who valued hard work and family. Lucy felt something snap definitely inside her. He had moved on. He had found a new daughter to support, one who actually appreciated him. While she was in an apartment she couldn't afford, surrounded by bills she couldn't cover, and watching her life collapse, she opened a new message to David. She wrote, "I'm sorry." She stared at the screen for 10 minutes, and then deleted it. What for? A sorry didn't pay the rent. A sorry didn't erase what she had done. She closed the laptop and sat in silence, finally understanding everything she had lost. I stood in the parking lot of my new laundromat, watching the contractors finish installing the exterior sign. It was on the other side of the city, far from the influence of Aaron's real estate firm. I had moved my entire business to a different management company 4 months ago. I hadn't heard anything from Aaron since then. Carl walked up to me with a coffee in hand. "The new place looks good, David." "Thanks. We should open next month." "Have you heard anything about Lucy?" he asked carefully. I shook my head. Nothing in months. The last thing I heard through the grapevine is that she moved back in with Ellen and is working retail. And Aaron? The annulment went through. He got remarried last month to someone from his church. Patricia sent me a photo. He looks happy. Carl nodded. Good for him. He deserved better than what Lucy put him through. My mobile buzzed. A text from Sarah, the nursing student I was helping with the scholarship. "Mr. Miller, I just got my first paycheck. I'm taking you to lunch to celebrate. I won't take no for an answer." I smiled. Sarah reminded me of who I thought Lucy was. Grateful, hardworking, authentic. Over the last 8 months, I've gotten to know her and other scholarship recipients. None were a replacement for Lucy, but they gave me something I was missing. A purpose without pain. "You did the right thing, David," Carl said, reading my expression. "Walking away when you did." "It doesn't always feel like the right thing," I admitted, "but it was necessary." We walked back to the car. As I drove home, I passed the street where Lucy used to live. I kept driving without even looking over. That night, I opened my office and looked at the safety deposit box I had filed away months ago, the one with the photos and memories of Lucy. I thought about throwing it away 100 times, but I never could. Maybe someday I will, or maybe I'll keep it as a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I learned. I learned that love without respect is just exploitation, that generosity without gratitude becomes an entitlement, that being a father means knowing when to hold on and when to let go. I closed the box and put it back in the closet. Then I opened my email and confirmed my attendance at the Scholarship Fund dinner next month. 20 students this year. 20 kids who understood the value of what they received. Life moved on. And I moved with it.